Have you ever stopped and really wondered what it felt like to be a child without a screen in your hand? No notifications, no curated feeds, no world measured in likes or shares. Picture this, a late afternoon on a quiet suburban street. Sun slanting through trees, bicycles scattered across lawns, children laughing, racing, daring each other to climb a little higher. And the only rule, be home by dinner. That was the rhythm of a baby boomer childhood. Born between 1946 and 1964, they lived in a world that moved slower but somehow felt deeper. Their play was unstructured, unsupervised, unfiltered. And psychologists tell us this wasn't just fun, it was formative. Think about climbing a tree without a safety net, falling once, maybe twice, learning your limits, learning courage, building resilience. That's unstructured play. It teaches problem solving, creativity and self-reliance. And boomers had it every day. Hours spent inventing, exploring, imagining. And for many Gen Z kids today, this kind of freedom is almost unimaginable. Contrast that with now. Schedules packed from sunrise to sunset. Lessons, classes, tutorials, extracurriculars, all measured. Efficiency, safety, structure. Every success tracked. Every failure corrected. And yet, here's the paradox. Boomer kids had freedom and constraint. They had no screens, but they had real risks. They had space to roam, but not unlimited time. They had boredom, but boredom was the crucible of imagination. Parents were different too, often authoritative, sometimes distant. Discipline was expected. Mistakes were personal lessons. No one rushed to fix problems. Psychologists call it authoritative yet distant parenting. It gave boomers a moral compass. It taught them responsibility, but it also left room for introspection, room for inner dialogue, room for the self to emerge. And here's something subtle. Boomers lived in a world of rapid social change, civil rights, technological innovation, the looming shadow of nuclear war. But their daily lives were intensely local. The tension between the vastness of the world and the intimacy of home shaped them. They learned stability, loyalty, achievement, but beneath it a quiet, sometimes unspoken anxiety about the world beyond their control. Pause for a moment. Imagine that. Childhood shaped not by content, but by context. Not by instant answers, but by the patience to wait, to wonder, to reflect. Now think about Gen Z. A childhood dominated by screens, notifications, and constant connection. Boredom is rare. Reflection is rare. Creativity is often guided by algorithms. And yet, the potential for growth remains. Let's talk about boredom for a moment. Boredom is the incubator of the mind. Without boredom, without quiet space, we rarely confront ourselves. We rarely imagine worlds beyond the one presented to us. Boomers knew this. They stared at clouds, made games out of sticks, created stories out of nothing. They learned patience. They built problem-solving skills. They learned to regulate emotion. And memory. Oh, the richness of memory. Boomers remember smells, sounds, textures, dirt under fingernails, the smell of rain on hot asphalt, the feel of a cardboard fort in the backyard. Neuroscience shows multisensory experiences cement emotional memory. Gen Z has information, but often less sensory depth. Life vivid, yes, but often externalized, pixelated, curated. Here's the quiet philosophical truth. Growth is rarely linear. Childhood is not measured by screens or schedules, but by moments that force us to be present, to face uncertainty, to wrestle with ourselves. Boomers experience that naturally, but every generation adapts. Gen Z has its own strengths, connectivity, information, flexibility. But understanding the psychology of the boomer childhood allows us to ask questions. What's missing? What can we reclaim? Can we allow more unstructured play, more reflection, more quiet space to wrestle with the self? Can we reclaim the kind of inner worlds boomers wandered through naturally? And isn't that the deepest lesson? That growth happens in the tension between freedom and constraint, between boredom and engagement, between uncertainty and reflection, that the seeds of creativity, resilience, and self-awareness grow quietly, often unnoticed, beneath the surface of everyday life. So the next time you see a child, paused, staring out a window, fidgeting, seemingly bored, ask yourself, what seeds are being planted here? What growth is quietly unfolding? Maybe in observing this, in allowing it, we find a bridge between worlds, a connection between the baby boomer childhood and the modern Gen Z experience. And perhaps in that reflection, we discover that the most profound moments are not recorded, posted or liked, but simply lived. The psychology of childhood, it is not about time. It is about depth, presence, exploration, courage, reflection, and maybe, just maybe, that is the gift both generations can share. Across the invisible threads of time,